Hey guys, and welcome to the Fish Room. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and it's time for a species spotlight. Now today we're going to talk about one of the most broadly distributed nano fish there is, and that is the guppy, Poecilia reticulata. Now, I know many of you are pretty familiar with guppies, but what I'm going to be talking about today is wild guppies. And that's because recently I imported some catfish, and as bycatch alongside them, or contaminants as I call them, there were some baby guppy fry, which have grown up to be pretty nice fish. So let's take a look and I'll tell you more about them. Now these are guppies that I got out of Colombia, and they're not actually native to there, but what's interesting is that guppies are found in over 50 countries and all continents except Antarctica, because they are just so breedable and so popular that they've either been added on purpose or by accident to just about every major country that keeps fish. Now, as I mentioned, these are wild guys, which means they don't get nearly as big as some of the line-bred strains that you're used to seeing with those really long tails and crazy colors. The females are basically colorless. The males have some blue and orange, which I think is actually pretty darn attractive. Often you can find these guys as feeder guppies in the fish store. And in an ideal world, you would keep several females to each male. These guys are probably the original nano fish. They are the most popular aquarium fish there is. Guppies in general, not these wild guys. And as you can tell by the amount of fry in this aquarium, they're very, very breedable. Now the males have a gonopodium, which is an elongated fin underneath that they use for internal fertilization. And then the female, like this big one here, if she comes back into frame, then the females will get this dark spot in their belly showing that they're carrying, that they're gravid. Gestation's about 22 to 30 days. At which time, depending on the female's age, they can have, dozens of babies to sometimes hundreds of babies. They also do something that's called superfetation, which is a simultaneous occurrence of more than one stage of developing offspring. So females can continue to give birth over a long period of time after being separated from males. Now, because of this, these guys have been given a few different names, one of which is Millionfish and another is Missionfish. And Missionfish is because they're so popular, they do appeal to basically everyone, and they draw in a lot of new people into the aquarium hobby. They're also incredibly adaptable, basically being able to take any water with at least a little bit of hardness and a temperature range that is all over the place. Now these guys, guppies in general, were introduced into the United States in the 1920s. And they're named after Robert John Lechmere Guppy, who is the guy who introduced them, and also who, while not the first to discover them, certainly the one who popularized them. And he did that in 1866. They were introduced into Europe in 1908 and again into the US in the 1920s. And they've just been a super popular part of our hobby, both for line breeding, showing, and just hobbyist keeping since that time. Now, I don't generally work with very many live bearers because my water's just a little too dilute, but I had to give these guys a shot, and I thought that this aquarium with all this stone would be the best bet for them to really do well. And judging by the fact I put 2 fry in here and there's now dozens and dozens, I'd say they're pretty happy. All in all, these guys are relatively bomb-proof, interesting to breed, and easy to feed. So well worth keeping, especially if you're interested in easy breeding. You do have to have some sort of plan, however, for all the eventual fry. All in all, they're a great, classic little fish. So while I don't like keeping the really long, flowing fin, line-bred variations of a lot of the guppies, I certainly see their beauty and appeal. But I'll just stick to these wild types. I really think they're fun, engaging, active, fascinating, breedable little critters. As always, thank you for your continued support. Make sure you hit the notification bell and stop by all my social medias. Let me know below if you have any comments, suggestions, or questions.